Yes, Tony did create the Mysterium suit, and this is what it looks like. Badass as hell. This is the Mark 72 suit. But let's talk about Mysterium today. I actually love this whole mythos behind it. So this is during the time where Tony and Emma were married, because Tony was pretty much protecting Emma because of Orcus. Orcus took down Kokora, made mutants like fugitives against humanity. Emma told Tony that there's a specific metal that can help us turn the tide against Orcus, and it's in Krakoa. So Tony stole it with all of Emma's belongings on Kokora and developed this cane, which this is a Mysterium cane, and it does some wild stuff. Carol, or Captain Marvel herself, could not bend it. She could not do anything with all of her strength. Doctor Strange couldn't atomize it with him being the Sorcerer Supreme at this time. This is before Doom got it, so that's insane as well. It also negates Spider-Man's spider sense while hitting him in the leg. Tony's funny as hell for that. But Tony needed more metal. There wasn't enough to create armor. So Tony sent Riri and Forge to, I guess I want to say, Niflheim, where all the dwarfs are at in the Thor mythos, to create more of this metal. And I didn't even know this. I forgot because it's been about 2 to 3 years since I read this. But Tony was the first person to actually create Mysterium or know about Mysterium from Pym particles right here. Because Hank Pym does it, right? He creates Mysterium with his Pym particles that he's been using for years, and he calls it K-Bach. Really weird, but I guess it synthesized the metal into like a molecular form. It's kind of weird. I'm sorry. Mysterium is made of Kier bonds, which he created 20 years ago, but those are just Pym particles. It's a primordial elemental particles that defy explanation, far behind the ken of ordinary scientists. We've actually seen different characters, different forms of Mysterium all around through the Marvel Universe. One of them, Clea, actually had a dagger, and she stabbed General Strange right here. General Strange, yeah, that guy fought a 1,000-year war with the Book of Ashanti in a different realm for years. Technically, this is actually current Doctor Strange, if he never left that Book of Ashanti stuff. And he used it versus Doctor Strange, where Doctor Strange, as the Sorcerer Supreme, yeah, he got his ass beat because of that. Mysterium is strong as hell. Or we could talk about how Magneto's clone, Joseph right here, forged it with his, he has magnetic powers as well, and took it from Darcy's necklace. But this is called low Mysterium, I guess a different form of Mysterium. And it was so powerful that it went through Wanda's defenses and cut 2 of her fingers off, and her fingers were gone for like a whole issue. So it did a lot of damage. But this version of Mysterium was created, I guess, by the Hex Finder and her kind. And it was around Lockkill, where Wanda's, I guess, house is at, or her emporium, I should say. And this is all low Mysterium right here that Joseph lifts off from the ground up. But Joseph has a change of heart right here, where he doesn't want to fight against Wanda anymore because his emotions get into it, and uses his powers. And since he's only a clone, using his powers this much actually, unfortunately, unalived him. But with his powers, he actually created these different types of crystals from the low Mysterium. This crystal or metal is a transparent metal, like aluminum oxide. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But with unique healing properties. And people are calling it Izoium. Yes, I'm just telling you, this is what's happening in the books. But Mysterium armor is badass. I absolutely love it. Adamantium cannot cut through this at all. We've actually seen when Tony was fighting clones, a Wolverine, or I should say robotic versions of Wolverine with adamantium, it could not cut through this. So Mysterium is a pretty tough metal. Tony with the Mysterium suit is pretty badass. Unfortunately, he didn't have it for long. I don't know why. I think it should have been, he should have had it for a long time. Maybe he'll get it back eventually. I actually met the writer Gary Duggan and got all my first appearances of Mysterium signed at a fan expo. So shout out to him. This was probably one of my favorite Iron Man runs I've actually ever read, and Mysterium is badass metal.